Hi guys, a longly awaited video, tons of questions and requests about how to do those wraps on the rifles, and I'm going to divide this in two sections. First one, very quick method using modern materials, things like this, and that will be on the PSL 54, but then I'm going to talk about Mosin gun, and we want to keep it kind of period correct, so we're going to only use old school, old style materials, and I'm going to show you both methods how to do it. We'll start with PSL 54. As you can see, I got that wrap here. I'm going to remove it and show you how to apply it from the beginning. So first of all, of course, I want to detach my sling. That has to go. Then you will notice that I'm using rubber bands, and those rubber bands will become very handy later on too, because remember, adding the wrap or camo wrap like this is just the stage. You want to use later on those rubber bands to add vegetation when you will arrive at the final firing position and to camo up the rifle even more. And they are extremely handy. It's extremely easy to apply them. And the rubber bands are the sniper's best friend, you can say, because there's tons and tons of uses what you can do with them and how you can use them. But you should be getting a pretty good idea what's happening here. See how I wrapped this, and I will show you in a slow motion how I'm doing it, and hopefully you will get the good idea what to do. So this is how I did on that rifle, and you can see I got some holes in it, and that's done on purpose so I can wrap it, you know, more efficient and better. Then on the front I usually have like a knot right here, like a knot, so it holds better. Ula, can you show them? Like here you can see the knot, and this is my hookup point. And it doesn't matter that these things are fluffy and everything, you won't use that camo wrap basically to break the silhouette of the rifle. So it's not going to scream out and jump out that, hey, oh, this is the rifle, you know. It's make it harder for the other guy, right? keep it challenging. And I realize that a lot of people will probably not do that just for the basic hunting, but if you will do, you will get a good idea, you know, how to do it, and how to quickly apply that camo. And here I created some really twisted knots, but I will get it off, no problem, and we'll move on. I really don't want to cut it because this is going to be useful, but I have to because that knot just twisted himself. So that's normal too, and don't worry that you got those cuts. That fluffy stuff is good too when it's standing out, not standing out, but when it's wrapping around the rifle. All right, so as you can see, completely exposed handguard, and this blondie furniture stands out in the woods. I'll tell you that this will be absolutely a target indicator for anyone who is on the glass. By saying on the glass, I mean someone on a spotting scope or on the binos looking for you, right? So this will stand out like you know, like a one-legged horde on the Cicero Avenue in Chicago. So nobody will like to touch it. So you want to camouflage this up, especially because that front of the rifle will be kind of exposed towards the target, so that should be covered. So for this purpose, the easiest stuff is, and you can buy those on the internet, they call them sniper veil. You can get them on the internet, and it comes in a different you know, colors. This is a multi-cam pattern, but they got the old BDU, they got the coyote brown, whatever you want to do. In my environment, the usual multi-cam works very well. That's what I'm using most. The problem with this is when you will get it right away, and what you gotta do, guys, it has that brand new fabric shining. So I'm not telling you to dump it to the swamp for a few days. That would be perfect if you could. and then pull it out. But kind of rub it on the grass, rub it in the dirt, keep rubbing, you know, till this stuff will get really dirty. You're going to pick up some greens from it, and maybe, you know, against the bark on the tree and things like this. You're going to pick up some colors. It's not that much about the changing the color of this. It's just you want to get rid of that shining, because really when the sunlight goes on that new fabric, again, it will be shining like a bull's balls in the sunlight, and you want to avoid that. All right, you always, this is a target indicator. Again, a shining is a target indicator, and I can guarantee you someone who is skilled will spot this out right away. So you want to rub it as much as you can, and that mud or whatever you're going to pick up on it later on will flake off. So before the putting on the rifle, kind of, you can rub it against it and ditch it, right? So I'm going to reapply my my old netting, and we're going to start from the front. So up front, and you can use scissors for it. Where did I put my scissors? Are here. You can use the scissors, kind of cut it, make those ends uneven up front, and you want to create something what you can use as a hookup point, right? So I can tie the knot around something and get the good start beginning for my wrap. So I'm choosing the beginning of the barrel. I got this beginning of the barrel and the front post, and I'm going to tie some sort of the knot to have a better hold on it. We can stretch it out, that material, put it against the post if you have to, kind of hook it up. It doesn't really matter, and you want lock this up to provide you some support. Depends, like if you have a suppressor or something, remember that you have to still use the equipment, right? So keep those threads uncovered so you can torque in suppressor or whatever you have. If you don't have a suppressor, that's fine. And then you can start wrapping around, and this is not maybe going to look, you know, very cool right now, the way how I'm doing this quickly, because that video will be boring for you guys. But look, I got this hole here. I created the hole in the netting, and I'm going to push some other part through it. See what I did? Look what he did, look what he did. And we got that fluffy stuff, that's fine, don't worry about it now. And now I got like 2 sections, and I'm going to keep going with them around to keep adding the cover for those rails. I have the Sling Loop here. You can either, if you want to make it this more cool, you can slide it through one of the nettings, see? And I'm going to push that 550 cord through it, so I got the easy access to the sling later on. Kind of loop it. And if you have to cut some loops, that's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. Make them look fluffy. It's even better, you know. So there we go. I got my future sling point exposed nicely on it. So just like think what you're doing, right? You're going to need some help with these. So think what you're doing, and kind of come here, and as you can see, do we have any fluffy material at the end? There you go. So I pick up some fluffy material at the end from both ends, and Ula, maybe move to this side, and you can try to make a knot here too if you have to, but that's not necessary, and I'll explain why. And we'll hook up here a little bit, but since this is the semi-automatic rifle, you don't want to cover that action, right? Because that charging handle will be cycling, so we are concerned with the front end of the rifle, and we're not going to dive in past that. But still, we covered a lot. We cover a lot of material, kind of breaking that silhouette of the rifle You can reshape that netting. I'll show you in a second how to do that. Now I'll apply my rubber bands, okay? And as I said, take your time. I'm doing this quickly for the purpose of the video, right? But you guys got the idea to show you what could be done. Now for the rubber bands, try to, you make it like a figure 8, and I got a double rubber band now. Slide it from the muzzle end, slide it down, slide it down, slide it down, and go to that point where you want to lock it, right? Now I'm going to slide in my camo netting on it. See what happened here? And I secured. That's what I said. It's not that crucial to have that knot at the end here, because that rubber band is going to hold up. And put more rubber bands, because the rubber bands, as I told you again, figure 8, and boom. Those rubber bands later on will be used for adding up vegetation to your rifle based on your final firing position. So again, nice rubber band, and I'll add one more, because you guys by now you should have an idea, right, about the rubber bands. Why I'm using the rubber bands. And we can put it here, that's fine. Now we do have that camo netting on the gas tube and on the barrel, right? So remember, this gets hot. So if you will keep doing magazine dumps with your PSL 54, guess what? You're going to start burning this out, but that's not the idea. Usually when you're going through the trouble like this, it's either hunting or whatever you're doing, you're not going to start slinging the rounds down the range. And besides, this is a PSL 54. This is not, a regular infantry rifle, but you got the idea. Keep this kind of in mind, that when shooting, that this is generating the heat, and it will withstand. I shot many times with that Camo Wrap, never had a problem, but there are some limits, because these parts are getting hot, so this is going to start burning out and falling apart. But now see how these bands are placed. You can stick the vegetation, and again, I'm just going to grab at something quickly. This will be a completely new video, right? I'm not even doing this right, but I will start sticking the vegetation based on what I'm seeing, in my background and foreground and things like this, and try to set it up on the rifle. So there you go, right? See right there. And keep in mind, you still wanna see, you have to have a line of view on the scope, but there you go, that's not bothering me at all. And you can start sticking that vegetation and keep camouflaging the rifle better. The same goes for the scope. You can add the netting to the scope. With the scope, you can either later on, you have to always watch out that you have to put something on that to cover that front end of the scope, because otherwise that lens, first of all, you can see some light reflection from it, but it's a kind of like rounded black point when you're looking at it, so it's easy to pick up again by the bad guys if they will be hunting you down. And you want to leave a little bit more material maybe on that wrap for the scope and cover the lens just like this. That will help you out. Or just add vegetation and keep the vegetation on it, but kind of make a little bit room so you can have a line of sight on target. Or you can use the veil. If you have the veil on your boonie head, cover with veil the whole front here of the scope, cover the turrets and things like this. So, or as I said, just keep that extra material and you can wrap it like this, and this is going to break that view of the scope. So many ways to skin the cat, but you got the basic idea how quickly you can apply that camo and actually gain the attachment points for your vegetation and quickly veggie up your rifle, and it will completely change the dynamics of the situation which you may find yourself in. Don't forget, Don't forget to address, if you're not going to use, if you're not concerned with the iron sights, right, do something about that front post. You can use the extra material you have. If you have to cut it out, use the extra material, cover this up too so it doesn't stick out, or just put the vegetation here, right? So remember, don't leave anything standing out. The same with the charging handle. You can put, I left this actually on the Mosin Nagant, but you can put the wrap like here on the Mosin, the little wrap, and you can put that on the charging handle. This will hold up, but it breaks again that black color from the charging handle on the rifle, and you want to avoid having some things exposed. Like, I will definitely cover those turret covers too, because this is easy. This is shining black color, so this doesn't belong in nature. So that would be my point of concern. That's it for the PSL 54. I think you have idea. You can hook up your sling now, right? There is a hookup point. You can hook up the sling. Again, sling would be my point of concern, because look, it's shining and everything. So it's cool, you know, for the video and everything, but I will never use that sling in the real world, because look, that completely, you know, that will be a shining point for sure for someone, and I don't want to end up with the extra hole in my body because I was wearing a cool you know, sling on my rifle. So keep that in mind, okay? All right, moving out from the PSL 54, we're going to get back to the Mosin. This is the Sniper Mosin, Sniper PU Mosin, and this is absolutely beautiful rifle. I did a lot of research and reading about the snipers from the World War II, from the Eastern Front, and I'll tell you, both sides were complementing each other. It was kind of weird to read it in the documents. The German snipers were talking very nicely about how skilled the Russian snipers were, how well they were camouflaging themselves, and the same, the Russian snipers were talking kind of, you know, admiring the German snipers. So both sides were expressing a lot of respect for each other, and also they said that both sides were extremely deadly when the moment of pulling the trigger came in. But from period photos and everything, I researched a lot of pictures. Big help from Alex. Check his blog. Link is underneath. You will learn a lot about the Mosin snipers and about the Mosin rifles and equipment. Together, I asked him for help. We dig out the picture of the Camo Wrap from 1944, and I think it was Ukrainian front. On the Eastern Front, 1944, when the soldier runs and has, you can clearly see, has a Camo Wrap up front on the Mosin. Mainly you see those pictures with the wraps from winter time, and there was a special fabric. Alex find out in the documents there was a special fabric dedicated for that winter wrap. Not that much about the summer wraps on the rifles, and that was the only picture I could find. And the reason for this is too, guys, also remember, nobody was running with cameras. They didn't have a cell phone cameras in World War II, so that's probably the reason. But my idea of the wrap was to stick to the original materials. So of course they didn't have access to the beautiful, you know, camo nettings like we can have it now. They didn't have. There were rubber bands, but it was hard probably to get them. So we're not going to use that. They didn't have any, you know, these wraps. I don't like those wraps, by the way, because they are sticking too tightly to the rifle, and it's here. I can make it fluffy. I can make all the different points and everything. If you have to use it, it works, but it's better to not. So you know, you can get a regular potato bag, and from potato bag cut out some stripes. Some stripes of material, make it flaky on the ends, right? As you can see, that's what I did here. I kind of split it, but you can make it flaky, and again, you gotta dirty it up and break that shining, because look how this is looking. This is a brand new fabric. I kept that one. This is a brand new fabric, and you see how shiny it is. And I started cutting out here, but it's still, like, contrast wise, your eye will easily pick this up. And we're going to color it Later on, I'm going to use again, they didn't have access to the spray paints, so I will show you what I'm going to do in the footage. But again, dirty this up, so put it on the dirt. Don't be afraid to get dirty, right? Kind of rub it around, whatever you got, mud, I don't care, grass. Wet grass works very well because the wet grass usually will leave some stains on the fabric. Like here I got some weeds or whatever it is, right? And see what's happening? See how I'm picking up the colors already on this? But as I said, it's not even that much about the color. I just want to kill that shining from the fabric. So I'm rubbing it up, and so on. And you can clearly see now, hopefully the camera will pick this up, the spots where I rub it correctly. And then you still got the shining, so I'll rub it more and things like this. Again, for the purpose of this video, otherwise we will have like a 2 hours video, right? And I can do the camo classes, guys. I can talk forever, so people are you know, and it's really interesting, but not for the video. It will take too much time. So for the purpose of the video, you got the idea, you know what you have to do. Also, I said start cutting. When you cutting the fabric out, you don't have to go in a straight line. Start going like the seesaw. You know, that's perfectly fine. Don't be scared that you screw something up, because I see some guys, you know, they putting like a lines and you going with the pencil and they're like, gotta stay inside the line. No, you don't have to stay inside the line, you know, and make it flaky at the ends. It will help you out. It will help you out later. So we're going to use this, and then of course the old school, like a farmer's rope or jute rope. You can use that. This would be the period correct material. And I'm going to unwind this. I'm going to put more because, well, I will show you what I'm going to do. And more is better because you can always cut it out, right? And I'm going to take the piece like this, cut it here, put it. And again, we already talked about it, but see how shiny this thing is? I would probably dirty this up and before putting on the camo. But I got the piece of the rope cut, and I'm joining the two ends together. I'm going to slide forward. I have that my little loop, because I'm going to use, I don't have rubber bands right now or anything to hold up, so I'm going to use that loop, making the basic loop, maybe like this, to help me out to hold the material, right? And it's like a noose. Don't get any stupid ideas. You're not going to hang anyone. Okay, there you go. And I'm going to probably still rub it a little bit here in my dust pit. There you go. And don't, you guys, if you wanna play the games like this, you have to get ready to get dirty, okay? The dirt is your friend. Like if you were the kid, when you were a kid, right? And you were playing and you were that weirdo who was always staying clean and didn't like to play in the mud, this is not for you, okay? Especially if you wanna go and be a sniper and things like this. I mean, that ain't gonna work. You have to get dirty. All right, so there you go. We killed off a little bit of that shining. That's fine. So I'm going to put my rope away now, and I'm going to start with this end. And again, I'm going to use my ties as a support, and I'm going to start wrapping from, I'll keep maybe that front post for now like that. We'll deal with it. And you want to start applying the wrap. This is nothing complicated, guys. This is a basic level task, you know. You can handle it, trust me. There we go. You can leave the sling on for purpose of this video. I'm going to leave it. You can deal with the sling later. You can camo up the sling too. But basically start wrapping it around and like this. It doesn't have to be pretty. Remember, it has to be effective. That's what you're looking for, right? All right, gaining in on this final part, and I'm going to keep this up to the magazine level, right? Because we have to have the access to the magazine and to the bolt, so that's pretty much will nail down and limit me. That will be the limiting factor. I wanna correct here this angle, because as you can see it's kind of sticking out. So if you did something wrong and it didn't jelly correctly, that's fine. You can return back and reapply it. There you go. Hey, this is you working on your own pace, and this has to work for you, right? So don't worry about anything. Don't worry about screwing up. You're not, and the best thing about this wrap, you're not destroying anything. You're preserving the originality of the rifle, right? So those people who are concerned, hey, it's like, I don't want to destroy my rifle. You're not destroying anything. And see now, that split I had, I left the two ends cut at the end, so I can tighten it here, or I can go around the mount a little bit, right? Put some extras, and now tighten it. Multiple ways to skin the cat. There is no wrong way doing it, right? All right, and just from this, this is not looking bad already, right? We already have some distortion of the rifle protection and here. But now I want to secure that front end. And again, I'm going to use my tie. And what I will probably do, I will put it, we can do this both ways. We can do like that, loop it through the front, and use that front post. See, I'm hooking up, and now, imagine that, that's why I got two ends. And I'm going to do the nice, going to clamp it. There you go. And let's see what I'm doing. This is my rubber band. Old school rubber band. And I'm going to use that later on to adding the vegetation as well. Now watch out for that sling, of course. Go underneath of that point, but see. And this is going to keep everything in place. And you're not using any modern materials. This is old school stuff. Old school stuff. And it will continue to go. There we go. To the end. And you have to decide where to stop and tie the knot. Basically, I'm going to do it here before the mount from the scope starts. And I don't care, you can do the figure A or whatever you're going to do with this. Just make it tight, and you can put the other ends of that rope, hide it, right, or cut it. You don't need them that long. Cut them from the other end too. And when you will be doing it, make sure everything stays secure. Don't rush it. This is not the sprint. It should last you, right? So you want to do it nicely. I'm just kind of pushing this forward because of the of the video. So there you go, we got the basic stuff done here, and you can cut smaller pieces now like this. This is again the same material, and wrap the scope around. We'll take the cover. It will be the same. It will be the same idea, guys. Start slowly from whatever end you want to go, and you will wrap it like this, right? You may have to put more. I don't want to, we are ready, that video is long. Then I will put the piece of the rope and I will secure it on the scope, right? Secure it on the scope, so something is holding it up, and things like this. The one thing about the scope, you know, you kind of want to have access to the turrets, so probably put more of the cover here, and you can put some vegetation on those ropes. Put some cover here, don't forget cover the lens, put some vegetation here, but here on the back I want to have access because I want to dial in. You know, if I have to dial in on the scope, I want to see what's going on. Of course, also make sure everything is cycling, right? You're not blocking anything. So if you have to adjust that, that's perfectly fine. I'll take this off for now, but you have to make sure that this is all working. So this will hold up. As I said, I kind of didn't finish the scope because we are already past 30 minutes, and I still want to show you what we have to do here. So off the camera, I'll put this on the scope, and then we'll switch to show you how you can add some paint to it now, and what you can do, and how this can look even better. Also, one thing which I want to add right away too is, like, if you want to add jute is fine, but you got those little pieces, you know, like if you want to mix them too and put underneath of that rope, that's perfectly fine, to make it look more, you know, like irregular and things like this. You can absolutely add that. That's why we have those, see, and you can make it more. I will show you how this is going. Can you pick up this with camera, how I'm sliding this underneath? There you go. And you can keep them irregular, you can cut them and adjust them, but it's going to look like this. So it's not just looking like a basic rifle, you know. It's just you're breaking the silhouette. You want to distort that view when someone is looking at it. So there are multiple ways how you can do that and make it more interesting, more fluffy stuff like this. But remember, keep it irregular, so it's not like all pieces are 2 inches long. That's not the idea. It has to be irregular. But that rope, this serves very well for adding the vegetation. And you know, you always have to also worry about covering the muzzle, but you can use the vegetation for it, put some grass and things like this to it. And as far as the vegetation goes, again, I'm just going to grab the grass from here, and I'm going to use that point. Well, I probably have to come from behind me to see how you can use this and slide in. It's not as cool as the rubber band, so it will cost you more time, but that's perfectly fine. This is how it was done in the old days, okay? And now nothing was easy. There you go. And you know, this is how you're going to add the vegetation. I still have outstanding view through the scope. Don't worry, there's no rounds in the chamber, okay? We checked the rifles. So there you go. I'm aiming at the lens, see? And that's how you can start stacking the vegetation and use those attachment points. And don't forget about the muzzle. I already said that multiple times, but don't forget about the muzzle, because that has to be covered too. All right, so let's go to the painting shop and we'll add some paint to it. Right, so of course there was no spray paints in the cans in World War II. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to dump a little bit paint on the metal, right? And if you guys are okay with, you know, spray painting, that's perfectly fine of the fabric. I'm just doing this to kind of keep it, you know, period correct. So there you go. I'm going to dump some paint on the pan, dip my piece of cloth, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to right now start rubbing. See what's happening here right away. Right away we're adding some distress to it, and you're not destroying anything because this is just the protective wrap. You're not destroying the original wood or all that good stuff. I'm using two basic colors here, green and brown. They are Krylon camouflage paint, but I figured that the guys in World War II, they had access to the brown and green paint, right? Again, make a wrapping and use the like other end of your cloth, wrap it, and you can start mixing too, why not, but rubbing it all over, right? And you want to add that distress, and you will go so on and so on. I'll switch to green paint. Now keep those two spots on the pan, separated, so you're not mixing really the paint there. And don't forget which end of the cloth you're using for what. So you won't overlap. Don't forget, you gotta go, you know, all the way. It's not just one spot, right? So just keep going through the whole thing and make it nice. More you work on it, the better it's going to look. We are rushing things here because for the video, but you got the idea of how this is going to go when you're working for yourself, right? Not for the video, and what could be done to it. Again, don't mix those ends, keep them separate. You can add more colors, it's perfectly fine. And just for the purpose of this video, I'm just using two, but you can absolutely add more colors. And see how we are changing the look. It's shitty sunlight, but you should be getting a good idea how this is going to go and how this is going to look like. Again, I'll switch to green. Make sure you're not mixing them. Deep Forest Green, that's the name. Deep Forest Green. And where's my green spot? Here. Or you can have two cloths so you won't get confused. There you go. There you go, guys. Check it out. Holy cow, this is starting to look badass. And so on. So, I'm not going to keep doing this because we'll run out of time. Don't want to touch the stock, but you got the idea what's happening. You see how we are picking up the distress on the camo. And don't forget about that wrap for the scope. And for the lens, I'll just use my, well, I kept some grass on it, but you got the idea. So if you have any questions, let me know. Don't forget to keep that action functioning. Don't forget this has to work, right? To open that opening. So check it out, and if you have to push something back, push something back. This is the beauty of the camo. It's up to you guys what you're going to do, and be creative, have fun. That's the main goal, and you know, try to make it as best as you can. And if you will screw up something, don't worry about it. Just cut it and redo it. This is not the end of the world. Okay? All right, let me know if you have any questions. As always, thank you for watching the videos. Please subscribe so YouTube will let you know that we're actually posting videos. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thank you, guys. After wrapping is done, time for the ultimate test. Can we take the 700 yards shot with the cold bore, and will the wrap prevent us from loading the rounds? So here we go. One round, one shot, one kill, right? And it went smooth to the chamber. I was able to close the bolt without any problems. Let me go on that 700 yards target. Hey, you go all out or don't go at all, right? I don't have a spotter. Hopefully there's not much wind there. And that's a hit. Cold bore shot. Okay, let's not celebrate yet. Let's see the ejection. Can I eject that round? Perfect. And I got the brass. So the wrap works, guys, and awesome. I'm extremely happy about this setup.